Hi, I'm Jerry Brantley, and I'm your host of 15-Minute Finance with Black Excellence Iowa. And today I have Melissa Relph, and she's a lead advisor for McGill Junge. Melissa, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you taking your time. So our goal here is to educate our viewers and just teach financial literacy. And the topic I want to talk to you about today is actually budgeting, something that we all use in our life, and we'll get into that. But first, I just want to know a little bit about you. Can you talk to me about your time in the finance industry?
Yeah, so I've actually been in the finance industry now for 10 years.
Wow.
Yep. But I've been with McGill Junge for coming up on 4 years.
Okay.
But yeah, my time throughout there, I've had my hands in all areas of the business of finance. So risk management side of things, investments, overall financial planning and developing recommendations for people, and working with emerging affluent leaders as well, and helping them with budgeting too. So, so this is perfect.
Right.
But,
so even leaders need budgeting.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump into this topic a little bit.
Yeah.
So, one of the things, and maybe it's a misconception, maybe it's not, but I would love to get your answer on this. Is one of the things I hear is, Jerry, I don't have a lot of money, so I can't really have a budget. Can you talk to me about is that the right mindset? Help me through that type of discussion with someone.
Yeah. So everybody can develop a budget, no matter what the income looks like.
Okay.
But the way to think about it is the correct way to be developing that budget. So really, of your overall income, about 60% of that should go towards your essential expenses. So what it takes to run the household day to day. So that'd be feeding yourself, paying the bills, electric bills, home bills, what it may be. And then the next 20% of that should be your discretionary expenses. So if you want to go out on a date or go to a movie or travel or anything like that, about 20% towards discretionary. And then that additional 20% is what you should be using to save or invest. So the number one importance is building up that emergency fund. So that would be about 6 months of your total essential expenses.
Okay.
Once you have that built up and in a very comfortable sleep at night spot, then that's when you start looking at the other areas to be saving or investing in.
Okay, so that's the 60% goes to my essentials, my house, my food, my bills. The 20 and 20 is for fun.
20 for fun.
20 is for helping my future self and my future family. You talked about the emergency fund there.
Yeah.
So as I'm budgeting, as I'm looking, should I start building that first? Help me with, I may have a 401k with my employer.
Yeah.
I should invest there, and I feel good. I think a lot of people know that. But then this emergency fund, I've heard this talked about a lot. Talk to me about budgeting for that.
Yeah. So between the emergency fund and the 401k, a good balance there. So with your 401k, I imagine your employer provides a match. So the one key piece that we stress, that match is essentially free money being saved for your retirement.
Absolutely.
So make sure to at least contribute up to that match.
Okay.
Yep. And then as long as you're doing that, continue saving and building that emergency fund, because you don't know what could come up. Like you might need to go get your car fixed or maybe replace a furnace or anything in your house. So you definitely want to have that emergency fund built up to be able to provide for any of those unknown expenses that might come up. But yeah, you definitely want to get that full match into that 401k to get that free money from
So that's a minimum, right?
Yep.
Get the match.
Yes, at least get the match.
Okay.
And then you start thinking about these other avenues. So once your emergency fund is built up, then we can start thinking about your saving to that 401k, getting that match. Then start thinking about other avenues such as a Roth IRA, or those types of dollars are tax-free forever. So they're sort of a golden nugget, we like to call them, on your balance sheet. Then outside of that, the next bucket to fill that we'd be looking at would be that health savings account, if you have that available.
Okay.
Which would be through your employer if you're on a high deductible health plan. So get that filled up, because those are very tax efficient dollars as well. You get a tax deduction when they go into the HSA, and then they are tax free coming back out of there as long as they're used towards a qualified healthcare expense. Yeah, so those are also.
I don't know that I've thought of the HSA as a bit of an investment vehicle or
Yeah.
a help, but that's what it sounded like it could be.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Outside of that, then start saving into maybe an after-tax account for yourself with some of that extra cash that's building up, because you can, if you're getting money investing into the market early, that's just a lot more time for that money to compound and grow.
So when I think about it, if I'm starting over, if I'm young, 23, 24-year-old Jerry, it sounds like we've got 3 buckets for budgeting: my essentials, my fun, and my future self.
Yes.
If you were talking to me maybe I'm coming out of college, maybe I'm starting my first full-time job, what are the best tools, I guess, for me to be able to understand how to budget and where to put money? What kind of things would I be using?
So we actually have this really nice, if you're working with us, we can provide you this budget worksheet that really gives you a clear idea of where all of your dollars are going each month from that paycheck. And then within that, we have some open available fields in there too that you can fill in with different, whether it's savings or like the fun, miscellaneous things. Outside of the tool that we can provide, there's lots of other online tools out there. Mint, for example, I know is one that a lot of our clients use. That one really connects all of your cards and all of your accounts and everything, and it breaks it out for you automatically to show you where all the dollars are going. So that one's a really helpful tool we use out there, and there's many others that are like that too.
Okay, you brought up cards, credit cards. Does that count as a part of my budget?
So that what you're spending on your credit card would go towards those, whether it's your essential expenses or your discretionary expenses. So it'd be part of that 80%.
Yeah. So I've got to plan all of those things.
Yes.
All right, and talk to me about, in those 3 buckets, is a good budget just as simple as I make sure 60%, 20% are going to these spots? Do I need to look at deeper than that to make sure that I'm comfortable with the way I'm budgeting? For instance, I've got 60% going to essential cost.
Yeah.
But is that the right thing to have an essential cost? How do I just make sure I'm doing this right?
Yeah, that's where, we can come in and help you too, and help you analyze what those true essential expenses are versus discretionary expenses. So that's something that we could help you take a look at. Talk
to me about lifestyle, right? If hey, I want to travel, I want to do these different things, I've got different goals throughout my life. I guess does my budget change over time and how I'm looking at these things?
So the short answer would be yes, it's going to change over time. And that will change as, your job might evolve, and the plan would be to your later self is going to be your wealthier self. As lifestyle changes, your budget is likely to change along with it.
Okay.
And that's where, you just have to have that cognizant mind to be able to take a look at that and manage that based on if your income changes, that's when a real quick indicator to look back at the budget and see the different things that we can alter. So maybe when that income changes, maybe we can save a little bit more into this bucket or to this bucket, or maybe we can have a combination of saving more into these buckets, but also allocating a little bit more towards saving towards a big trip that you want to take, or a new wardrobe, or whatever it might be.
So income change is a good key in my mind to say I should look at how I'm budgeting, which I don't know if that's the way I've ever thought of it before. So I think that's really interesting. Now, talk to me about this. Is there a downside? Right? Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. Is there a downside to what if I say I'm going to put 40% in this retirement bucket or in this future planning bucket? Is there a downside to pushing more money there?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a downside.
Okay.
The thing to think about though is how that affects your discretionary expenses. Then you don't want to just go, I wake up, I go to work just to get through work and to save for my future wealthier self. You want to make sure you're having fun along the train as well.
Gotcha. So kind of balance the sacrifice now for the future, but make sure I'm still having a little bit of fun.
Right, exactly. You still want to make sure that you're saving and putting money away as you need to be, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you are enjoying life too as we go.
And you talked about earlier that you have some tools. So as a lead advisor, if I sit down and talk to you, how do you help me see that? What kind of things are you showing me to say, Jerry, you're putting money in the right spots, or no, you need to change your budget around?
Yeah, we have a whole plethora of different tools at our hands, but one key thing that our firm hits on is the overall financial planning for our clients. So we sit down and talk through, what your life goals are and what your current lifestyle looks like, where you're currently saving, things like that. And we put it all into this financial plan for you to give you an idea of what this projection looks like over time. And that's where we can see holes as far as, you're doing a really great job saving, but you might be spending a little bit extra here that you could tailor towards here to fill this gap later down the road too.
So I don't need the Lamborghini right now.
You don't need the Lamborghini. It's a balance between needs and wants.
Okay.
Like you need a car, you want a Lamborghini, but you can get something in the middle there. You don't have to settle for the old beater just to get by.
Right.
But we can give you a accurate, correct balance there too.
So it sounds to me like your best budget starts with a plan.
Yes.
And talking to you, you help me find that plan. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And is that a one-time event, or is it do we meet throughout? How does that work?
We meet on your schedule. So what I mean by that is we'll sit down initially, we'll have a similar conversation like we're having today to get an idea of what your goals are and everything. We'll go through that whole comprehensive financial plan, and then from there, it's if you want to get back together in a couple months just to touch base again, or if a lifestyle change happens and you want to get together. We're proactively going to be reaching out twice a year to get together for these reviews, but we're on call at any time. And if you have a question, if you just want to know, hey, I saw this house come up on the market, can I buy this? Can I afford this? That's something that we can have a conversation about and model for you in the plan as well.
When I think about good discipline, let's say you and I meet once a year, but I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things in the team. How often should I be going and looking at my checking accounts, where I'm spending my money, just making sure? Is that a monthly discipline? Is that a every paycheck? Yeah, help me through. Because I don't want to become obsessed with it, but I also want to make sure I'm staying on top of it.
I think the key is to find a good balance or what works best for you. So if you go month to month and feel like things are tight, it might make sense to keep track of it each month and from month to month see where you might be able to change things around a little bit. But if you feel very comfortable and feel that you're saving your 20% and still having a great fun lifestyle that you're living, then that might be, every couple months you take a look at it. It's really finding the correct balance.
It's really good information. Melissa, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank
you for helping us educate just on the topic of budgeting. A lot of good things that we discussed here today. I really appreciate it. So
thank you.
And this is Jerry Brantley, and I'm going to sign off. This is 15 Minute Finance with Black Excellence IO. Have a good day.